Welcome into Tri-State Tailgate. Another great week for you guys. It's going to be episode 5 on the books now. It's crazy to think that we've already come so far in such a little bit of time, but we're thankful you guys have decided to come in here with us and looking forward to a great episode. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what we talked about at the end of last week is some of the biggest games that we're thinking about this season that have the biggest playoff implications. And 2, we're going to give you guys the odds of teams that have national championship aspirations, their odds going into the season. Who's number one? Who's in the 20s? We're going to talk about many of them tonight. You know, Indiana, we're going to bring it up. They were 101 odd last year to go and even win the national title, and they did it. So we're going to talk about teams kind of in that same range. Could they surprise us? So we're looking forward to it tonight. I'm Adam. That's James, our Tennessee fan. We call him Chunk, so y'all just get used to that. And you got Michael, our dog fan, down there at the very bottom. And we are a Tri-State Tailgate talking about our favorite teams, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, but also all things college football. And like I said, we can't be happier that you guys are here with us tonight. And we're just looking forward to it getting started. And I guess we'll start tonight like we just talked about teams' odds to go into the 2026 National Championship. And these are some of the odds we pulled up. You know, ChatGPT don't help us out with the graphics, so y'all don't look at the logos. Just look at the names. Just look at the names. And you can see kind of the odds going into the season. Now, like I said a minute ago, Indiana was that 101 odd team, so they would have been plus 10,000 to win the whole thing. And you see, we've got 2 teams there at the bottom that are in that same range. So with you guys, Michael and Chunk, looking at this list, of course, you know, we see Georgia and Tennessee on there. So, but where do you guys see a team that kind of surprises you just on the initial look on this list? Who's the team that really just stands out? Like, man, they're high, or are they still too low? What's your guys' thoughts? What do you think, Chunk?
Man, I look on here and I see, I see Alabama, Adam. I kind of feel like they're just sleeping on Alabama this year. Mm-hmm. That kind of surprises me how low they are. I feel like they should be at least bumped up there close to probably LSU. And then I look at Notre Dame. Now, me and you talked about, Michael, about Notre Dame not being in a conference and everything. And I just feel like they haven't really proven anything, Notre Dame has. So I feel like they're just a little bit too high. You can put them down there, around Georgia, Miami. Mm-hmm. And, also Georgia, too. I feel like Georgia's too low. We talked about it on the last podcast. I believe Georgia's got something to prove this year. We talked about their schedule. I believe they're going 10-2. So I believe Georgia should be on up there close to, where Indiana, Oregon is. What do you think, Michael?
Well, that's something you and I talked about earlier with Notre Dame having the schedule that they have in 2026 really being like their only tough game, I feel like, is at Miami. Or I don't know if that was at Miami or at Notre Dame. But either way, their toughest
Notre Dame.
So their toughest game is Miami, that being a home game at that. And they've got this ridiculous contract. And I feel like college football as a whole, unless you're just a Notre Dame homer, will agree with this, that it's insane to me that they have a contract with the college football playoff that if they're ranked in the top 12 at the end of the season, they get an automatic bid in the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. If they're ranked in the top 12. I thought it was top 15 when we talked, but it is top 12. But I just think that's crazy to me because they're not in a conference. They don't want to be in a conference because why would they? Why would they be in a conference if they don't have to be? And they get to reap those benefits. But, yeah, being unbiased, I don't want to hit too much on Georgia. Obviously, I would love for them to be – I want their odds to be like way up there. I'd like for them to win the national championship this year, but I'd love for them to every year. But we're talking – if we talk about a guy that actually showed us some love, he was a viewer on the pod just this past week, Alex Golish at Auburn. You just said that Indiana was right there at that plus 10,000 mark. They went and won the whole thing after 2 years of being there, I know. But Auburn in the same boat. Alex Golish went and got all of his guys from USF, a lot of his guys from USF, and a lot of other big-time transfers coming in. He may do something this year. That'd be interesting to see.
Well, he can. I mean, that's the thing I think about with Alex Golesh and Auburn, and with an SMU being right there too. But man, Auburn, I mean, they're scary. I mean, they just are. I mean, they're that team that is like it. They're not as low as Indiana was when Kirk Cinetti took over, but they've been that sleeping giant where, like, if you find that right coach, man, they could really do some damage. You know, Gus Malzahn, everybody thought was going to do that, and if you guys remember, year one of Gus Malzahn, he took them over all the way to the national title against Florida State. You guys remember that? I mean, so it can be done. It just, you got to find that right coach, that right team, and could Auburn be that this year? Possibly. The one that really gets me though. Talking about a year one coach is Florida. Florida's ahead of Tennessee in the odds. If you guys see that, I mean, that's pretty wild to me to see Florida being that high. I know John Summerall is a good coach. I listened to his little interview the other day with Josh Pate. I mean, he seems like he really is talking the right way. But and like I always say, win the press conference. But what are they going to do on the field? Florida's in that same boat of like, as Auburn is like, have they found the coach that they need to take them to that level? Because when they had an Urban Meyer there, a Steve Spurrier there, those great coaches, man, they've been great. But when they haven't had the right guy, they've just been middle of the pack or worse. So, have they found the right guy that's going to take them to where they want to go with all the talent around them and just can go in their backyard and get recruit after recruit? I mean, Florida's an awesome place. So, that's a team that stands out to me. And with their schedule, they don't play Bama. I know they play Georgia, but they don't play Tennessee this year. So, I mean, with their schedule, could it be kind of favorable for them, Because at the end of the year, they play Florida State. Florida State ain't going to be too good. So,
well, let me ask you real quick, Adam. How do you feel about LSU being where they're at, favored more than Alabama? How do you feel about that?
I think that's personally. I think it's hype. I mean, the Lane train, son, they're choo-choo. All right? I mean, that's what they're doing now. They are going with the Lane train. They have a lot of hype, but it's LSU. But that is kind of wild for Alabama. I mean, I'm just saying this to Alabama fan, but for Alabama to be that low, like Chunk said, that is surprising. Just because the name of Alabama, I guess that's maybe where they are, but to be below Texas Tech, to be a low A&M, I mean, I know we didn't put it much on the field last year, but man, I'm hearing good stuff out of camp, though. I mean, Ryan Williams, I don't know if you guys seen it, man, but him going off in the first scrimmage, and you're hearing all these good things about, the change in attitude and the run game, and quarterbacks are showing out, both of them. I mean, I'm high on Bama, but it don't seem like FanDuel is. So,
well, Ty Simpson in the pro day, I saw Ryan Williams had a drop pass out there.
I don't know about all that.
But really, I agree with you. I think that LSU thing's all hype, man. And everywhere Lane Kiffin goes, he's going to bring that with him. But Lane Kiffin, I wouldn't say Lane Kiffin, but LSU, that program as a whole, is not that far separated from greatness. Back in 2019, they won the whole thing. Auburn the same way. It hasn't been that long. It feels like forever for us. It hasn't been that long since they were national champions. I mean, 13, 14 years ago? It hasn't been that long. And these teams, any of these teams, like you say, if they find the right guy and they get the right people in there, they could definitely win the whole thing. And I don't even want to talk about Texas. When you talk about a team, and we talked about this earlier too, Easter's coming up, and I think Steve Sarkisian has dumped all his eggs in one basket because, man, that guy has went out there and got everybody he could to try to make this year be their year. They got Cam Coleman out of the portal. They got Will Muschamp on their defense. They got Stoops out of Kentucky. I mean, it's insane, man. The guys that he's bringing in are former head coaches. So he's not there just to play games. He's really trying to win this thing, and he's dumping all his eggs in the basket this year. But
let me ask you this, Michael. Do you think he's making the right – I mean, just to ask this question, you think he's making the right choice? Does he have the quarterback to do that? Arch, he had a lot of hype, but that first year of starting, he was like, when that Ohio State game, my Lord, I mean, I didn't think he was going to do anything. He didn't do nothing to the fourth quarter. I mean, it was pitiful, but the only game I feel like he showed up in last year was the Texas A&M game in the second half. You know what I mean? That's the only real, bright spot that if I can personally remember,
To me, Arch Manning is the Lane Kiffin of quarterbacks. He brought all the hype with him.
I couldn't agree more with you, buddy.
he brought all the hype with him, and he's had all the hype with him. He was the preseason favorite for the Heisman last year, and then that went away quick. I mean, that dude was showing out against what was it? Sanford, the Sanford Bulldogs. They can't beat the Bulldogs in Sanford Stadium, but they beat the Sanford Bulldogs. And boy, he was showing out for that game. He scored, did the whole thing. He was ripping the chest open like old Newton did back in the day. So man, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of hype around that guy, and if he performs significantly better, then I think their chances are a lot better. But Georgia's in that same boat, kind of. I say kind of because I would take Gunnar Stockton over Arch Manning any day of the week, and I would send that to the bank any day. But David Pollack made a great kind of just insight on that. He said if Gunnar Stockton is the same Gunnar Stockton of the 2025 season, then Georgia's chances of winning the national championship are really low. And I kind of agree with him there because, man, Gunnar he's the type of guy that doesn't want to go out there and make a mistake and cost his team. But in some cases, it almost hurts his team to play that way. Because, man, Bobo and Kirby both said, if you watch this guy play at practice, he opens it up, he's throwing them downfield, and he's really doing well. So I'd say they're kind of in that same boat with the quarterback play. But
yeah, well, I something else I think about, and quarterback play is so important, and you've got to have that right guy at quarterback. But I tell you guys, looking at that graphic, and I'm going to tell you guys this stat that's crazy. Because you know how good Georgia's been, all these teams have been. Can I give you guys a crazy stat? That since 2006, you know why they call us Title Town? It's because every year that a team that he's either played in the game or won it has had to come through Alabama. That's a stat. 06 Florida, 07 LSU had both beat us. 08 Florida beat us. 09 we won it. 10, Auburn beat us. 11, we won it. 12, we won it. 13, Auburn beat us. They played in the title game. 14, Ohio State beat us. They won it. 15, we won it. 16, Clemson beat us. 17, we won it. 18, Clemson beat us. 19, LSU beat us. 20, we won it. 21, Georgia beat us. 22, Georgia beat us. 22 and 23 are the only teams. That was Georgia team in 22. And Ohio State in 23 are the only two times.
I was about to say that 22 team because I didn't think Georgia played Alabama.
22 Georgia team did not play us. 23 Michigan played us. And then 24 Ohio State didn't play us, nor did Notre Dame. But 25 Indiana played us. So think about all those years. It's only been 2 years since 2006 that the either runner-up or the national champion did not play Alabama and had to go through Alabama. So when they say it's Title Town, it's Title Town, buddy.
Believe me, that is.
The national championship goes through Tuscaloosa. Ride or down.
That is a crazy stat. I was thankful that it didn't go through Tuscaloosa in 2022 because, man, that's a team. Well, and I heard it all. I heard it all from Alabama fans. Y'all better be glad y'all didn't have to play Alabama. Well, you didn't make it. I'm glad we didn't have to play.
Well, LSU beat us in overtime that year at Baton Rouge. Remember?
Yeah.
And then we got left out. We was number 5, and we had to play Kansas State. That was Bryce Young, Will Anderson. I mean, I was so upset they didn't get in. Number 5. I mean, come on.
Well, you know what, guys? I mean, one team we did not talk about that I seen on there. How do you guys and what do you guys feel about Oregon? Is Dan Lanning going to do something? Yeah, I seen it, but we didn't talk about it. How do you feel about them being where they're at? Now, they got blew out by Indiana. I mean, is that going to happen this year?
Well, they're going to blow them out. They're going to have to definitely try to make that not happen because they've always just kind of been there and been in the conversation, especially preseason conversation. They're on this list. And every team, no disrespect to the right side of the list because the right side of the list very well will go on to make it. But every team on the left side of the list, I could definitely see winning the national championship. I wouldn't even be surprised if you told me any team on that left side of the list wins it.
Yeah.
I would be more surprised about the right side if you told me Ole Miss goes out and wins it, even though they have a really good shot, man. They have a really good quarterback, and I think that Pete Golding's a good coach.
Yeah. Well, Dan Lanning's in that same spot as Kirby Smart was a couple years ago. Of he can't get over the hump. He can't do it. It can't happen. Kirby Smart was in that same spot for years, talking about Alabama. And when he get to the big games, it seemed like he'd always fall. So Dan Lanning's in that same spot. So until Dan, now the only real big game that I could think about him like actually doing it was that game when Ohio State came to them a couple years ago. Do you remember that? I think that was in the 24 season, and they beat Ohio State whenever Sam Howard, slid at the very end, or Will Howard. I'm sorry, he slid at the very end, and the clock ran out, and Oregon beat him at home. That's the big game that everybody thought, oh, Dan Lanning finally did it. And then he beat Penn State that year. But after that, they got boat raced in the playoff. And then this year, of course, you beat Texas Tech after you win a first-round game. But then when you face a good team, that in Indiana, they couldn't get over that hump. It's the same thing. You get to that same peak, but you can't make it over that hump. So that's – and I'll tell you somebody, what Chunk just said, I thought he was saying Oregon was left off the list. Look at this list real quick. Who's a brand that has been very good that you don't see on this list right now? If you guys, I'll give you 5 seconds.
That you don't see?
That you don't see. The Clemson Tigers.
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney. Clemson. You don't see them.
They're probably
think about
they're right
think about how great they – but you don't see it. That's like the top 22 teams right there, and they're not in it. That's wild for Dabo not to be there. Yeah. Because he was always right there, like it's Bama or Clemson, every year. But to not see Clemson on this list and Missouri be in front of them, Washington, Penn State with a new head coach, Auburn, new head coach.
Yeah,
Clemson, that's pretty wild to me.
And that's kind of disrespectful to that whole program and organization because, man, Dabo is a good coach, and he's done it. He's done it, and not long ago. That's like I said with LSU. They're not that far separated from greatness and from the big game. They've been there not long ago and competed for it several times. So, man, that is weird they're not on there. But like I said, they're probably just outside.
Yeah, but that's a team that stood out to me on this graphic. I was like, man, Clemson didn't make the cut.
I could definitely know. I think SMU beat Clemson last year.
Put them at SMU spot.
Well, SMU beat them last year.
Yeah. Well, it's just Clemson's been going like they've not been going on the upper trend. It seems like over the past few years they just keep going on the downward trend, and that's why I don't think people are very high on them. They've lost their quarterback that Dabo put all his eggs in, and he's gone now. He's going to the draft, so it's kind of like, what are they going to do now? Now, if you talk to Dabo, hey, Dabo thinks they're going to be a great team, and they might do it. They may be that dark horse team this year, but it's just hard to believe that Clemson's went that way so far. And we're going to talk about here in a minute, but they start the season going to LSU. They start the year off hot, son. And that's a big time game.
Did we put him in the hot seat?
I think he was in the warm category. Yeah.
Okay. Some people had some things to say about him being in the warm category, but man, there's a whole nother side. There's a whole other side of the Clemson fan base that 100% agrees with us, him being there. Mm-hmm. And they because they want him to either do something or get out of the way and let some of these other coaches get in there. But I think going to LSU week 1 is crazy, but I know LSU went to Clemson week 1. Yeah. And that was Brian Kelly's big thing, man, before he got fired. But Brian Kelly's big thing is we keep starting the season 0-1. I want to be 1-0. And they wore that thing until they they kept wearing it after they kept losing. They were still 1-0 to start.
Yeah. They were 1-0, son, but he was out the door.
Yeah.
He was out the mid-season. That's crazy. Think about, isn't it crazy how we overreact? Even if Clemson comes there and wins that game, the first game of the season, if you guys remember last year when that happened and Brian Kelly went to Clemson, I believe they were both top 10 teams. You guys remember that? Hey, Klubnik is going to be great. You got Garrett Nussmeier is going to be great. They're just two great quarterbacks facing off. And then by the bye week in middle of November, Brian Kelly's fired after going into Clemson winning that game.
Yeah.
Clemson's fell off the radar, just going downhill to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, so really you can't even take even these odds right here of teams we think are going to do it.
Yeah.
By the time, week 5 gets here, this whole list could be totally flipped on its head.
Yeah.
With teams that could win it all.
And my favorite takeaway from that game that LSU Clemson game week 1, my favorite takeaway is a video I kept seeing recirculate through social media of this probably 20-something-year-old LSU fan. And he was arrogant, running his mouth up in the very top. I mean, they were at the top of the section. And he was running his mouth. And this middle-aged Clemson fan, man, after they lost, he grabs him. He's throwing him up against the wall. He's ready to whoop him.
Yeah,
that, to me, was by far the best part of that game.
man. That's wild. I mean, hey, it gets wild some of these games.
Game and MMA fight.
It does, man. I think one of these segments we ought to do, since we're so early in the spring, before we actually start some spring games and stuff, and before we get into the actual season, we need to talk about which fan base sometimes has those guys, like that LSU guy that did that.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
No doubt, they're out there, buddy. I'm telling you right now. Yeah,
But
a lot of people
every
say that about Tennessee, but they're in every fan base, dude.
Has them. Every fan base.
Every fan base.
I've sat next to Georgia fans at Georgia games that I thought, dude, shut up. I mean, we're winning. Can you be quiet? Like, you don't have to be ragging this fan base, but they were, dude. It gets pretty rowdy.
I was at the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. It's 2014, and we're playing who was it? West Virginia. And we're playing West Virginia, and I'm sitting in the 200 level. This is at the Georgia Dome. And the section next to me, to my left, during the game, they had a big raffle thing going on. This section's going to win free chicken sandwiches. So, of course, the section next to me wins, and I'm depressed. But the section next to me won. And then this older gentleman sitting there, and he has the earpiece in and everything, listening to the radio call. Man, these people start handing out chicken sandwiches. He starts dog cussing the lady. Wait till halftime. What are you doing? I mean, just dogging them. And I was like, dude, calm down. They're giving you a free chicken sandwich from God's Chicken of Chick-fil-A. Like, it's amazing what you're getting right now, and you're acting a fool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but you got it in every fan base. Man.
Every fan base has it. Yeah.
Where it's just too much. So, dude, calm down, you know?
Well, it's my job. It's my job as now a father of 2 boys that I take to Georgia games. It's one of our favorite pastimes. I got to make sure they don't act like that. You know, my oldest son's first game was 2021, the first year we won the national championship since I've been alive, since he's been alive for sure. And we played Kentucky. That was a big-time game. Kentucky rolled in there undefeated. Georgia was undefeated. College Game Day was there. SEC Nation was there. And we laid it on Kentucky like we always do. Kentucky just always lays an egg about that time of season. But we laid it on Kentucky, and Kentucky fans were getting up leaving about the third quarter. And my son just in there yelling, Kentucky sucks, Kentucky sucks. And I said, no, man, we ain't going to do all that. We're not going to do all that because they've lost and they're leaving. We're not going to be ragging them about it because it's not a good feeling.
No.
That was the first time I ever saw Jordan Davis, and Jordan Davis was on the other side of the field, and it still looked like I could see him like he was sitting right next to me because he was just a grown man out there.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I there's a lot of stories I could go through, man. It's just like, I remember being in the Sugar Bowl. Me and Chunk went down and watched Alabama play Clemson. And I remember right there before half, it got kind of rowdy because I think we were going to kick a field goal, and then we missed it. But they, like said, the refs were giving us the chance to do it and stuff. And, boy, that place went crazy. You know, Clemson fans yelling, Bama fans yelling. I mean, I thought there was going to be a fight break out. And then I remember being at the national title game when Georgia won it all. And, I was kind of like taken back the way Georgia fans were acting, dude. I remember this one kid, he's probably drunk, but when they won the game, he went over to the doors, kicked the door down, and like bust the door wide open and just like, yeah, we beat them. You know, I get you're excited, but like, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, like there's a difference, and like,
Well, I mean, Pat McAfee, that every time he's doing anything with Georgia, he sings that song, and in the song it says "drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan," and I'm like, man, that's just we're advertising it.
Right?
Yeah. It gets bad sometimes. So, but I've always heard too, and I don't know if this is true, and we'll move on to the next segment, but man, I've always heard about like the Georgia-Florida game. A lot of people always say they don't want to go because I've heard that stuff gets thrown in that game.
Yeah.
Liquids, bodily liquids get thrown in that game.
Not just mustard or golf.
You know what happens at Tennessee games.
Yeah. You get mustard and golf balls thrown.
Yeah.
Same thing, buddy.
But I hope to see that game this year in Mercedes-Benz. That'll be fun. But I hope I'm just in the Georgia section. Don't wind up getting somehow in the Florida section.
Well, it makes me wonder if they're going to split it like they do down in Jacksonville.
I would hope so.
Will they split it the same way? Or
I would
just be
hope they
packing it in
try.
there?
I would hope they try to do that. I mean, they can. They have one section that's open on the end, but the rest of it's pretty even. I feel like they could split it.
Man, I just think it's gonna be so many dog fans there. It ain't gonna
Yeah.
gonna be no split, buddy.
No.
It's gonna be like a 90, 20, 90, 10, 80, 20. Yeah, I mean, they might as well just play it in Athens. Yeah, when you go down there and play SEC title game, I mean, when you're playing Georgia, you're playing at Athens, pretty much.
Well, the thing
It's so loud.
I would really like for them to do home and home at least these 2 years. They're not in Jacksonville, but
Yeah, why not? Well, that's another thing too. With like we talked about with Clemson, LSU, them going to each other's home stadiums, like that's huge. Bama went to Florida State last year. Now Florida State's coming to Alabama. I love that. I don't like. I mean, neutral site is okay, but man, when you go and you have those atmospheric games, like they're talking about canceling the Ohio State Bama game, and I think we play them in 2027. That's next year. I'm like, I hope not. I'd love to go see Ohio State, but you just don't get those opportunities playing in Mercedes-Benz. I want to go to Ohio State and see those stadiums, but I won't go there just to watch. I mean, do what we're doing now. I might one day, but just to watch them play Michigan, I want to go up there and see them play Alabama. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's the thing that I'm kind of getting at. I'm just like, I want to see these home and home series more than I do the neutral site stuff. Like, give me those games. Give me the atmosphere, son, of just a rabid fan base.
Well, Kirby's been very adamant. Kirby's been very adamant about that for a long time. He's always hated it being in Jacksonville because it's really a recruiting thing that he loses, a weekend that he loses every other year where he could have recruits in and watch that big time game, and they don't get the opportunity to do it. Because I don't think you can have recruits in Jacksonville. I mean, what would that do for you?
Nothing. I mean, you go see the lights at Athens, or the lights in the swamp. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Or like when people come see Tennessee and Knoxville. It's special. It's special.
Right.
A home venue, a home game is special, and with all these neutral sites. But I think people are getting away from it. Like with this, like we're going to talk about here in a minute, with some of these games being we can go to it. I mean, like we're talking about the biggest games of this upcoming year that we're talking about. We're excited about all the games, but we're talking about the championship odds and who's going to win the national title. These are 10 games right here that we're thinking are going to be the difference, and playoff implication games and playoff impact games. These are some big games, and you start out number one again, a non-neutral site. You've got the same matchup from last year. Texas goes into Ohio State. Now we're returning the favor. Ohio State's got to come in to Texas week 2 and play the Longhorns at home. Probably going to be at the time, because they both start out with nobody opponents. Put a name there, Chattanooga, whoever you want to say, and they're playing them week 1. And then you've got the Ohio State, Texas. This is probably going to be last year. I think was number 1 versus number 3. Is that right? I want to say Penn State at all teams was number 2. So this is probably going to be a 1-2, 1-3 matchup right here. Ohio State and Texas. So that's the first game we're looking at. And I mean, what do you guys think about that game? What's your expectations for Ohio State, Texas, Chunk? What do you think about that game with how we talked about the hype of Arch Manning, but also maybe the lows of Ohio State last year not being able to do much against the big opponents? What's your kind of feeling on that week 1 game there?
I kind of feel like Ohio State at this point is like we talked about Arch Manning, man. They're just overhyped. I feel like I don't know if Manning's going to do much this coming year, but I'm leaning towards Texas on this game right here, just because of Steve Sarkisian. The kind of coach that he is, and what kind of players that he's got. And I feel like Texas will probably be a big impact this upcoming season. So, and just like I said, Ohio State, man, Ryan Day, he's Ryan Day. But just something's got to be done with Arch Manning, man. I think they've hyped his name up because he's a Manning. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not Eli Manning. You know what I'm saying? It's just
it's time to prove it. It's time if you're going to carry that name, This is the year, son. You've
Amen.
got it all around. You've got the guy from Auburn. I'm blanking on his name right now. Cam Coleman. You got Cam Coleman, the wide receiver. You've got Hollywood Smothers that was going to go to Alabama. Yeah. They got him at Texas now. You've got a run game behind you. It's all lining up, buddy. All the chips and this poker game. You guys are all in. This is the year to show it. This is the year to show it.
So he's got all the right guys around him, Adam. He's got all the right guys around him. But let's see what he can do with this team that they've put around him. So
yeah. Well, all the right players plus all the right assistants. It's like the guys put all his eggs in one basket being this year, and I know they want something big. So that would be a big statement there if they can get that game and get it done. But yeah, it all falls on if Arch Manning can perform. And if those former assistants, he's got assistants now in there that are former head coaches. He's running a Nick Saban rehabilitation clinic down in Texas. After you get some head coaches that didn't really pan out, he brings them into his program.
Yeah. But there again, what has Sark done? I mean, he's not won an SEC title. He's not won a national title. Of course, he won the Big 12, but that was.
But he's been there. He's been there, which is more than Texas A&M can say, and they've been in the league a lot longer.
you and A&M, son. You and A&M. Whoever made that comment on our first channel, on our first video, has scorned Michael Baxter, son.
Well, I'm going to make him hate me. But I'm not speaking anything that's not factual, though. They really haven't made the SEC championship ever since being in. I mean, Missouri joined the conference the same time Texas A&M did, and Missouri has been there.
Back to back. Yeah. 13 and 14, son. They were there back to back.
Missouri's been there, and Texas A&M hasn't. And you look at Missouri almost like, oh, man, who cares about Missouri? But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Eli Drinkwitz has something planned for that program, but that's a team we didn't even hardly bring up. And they may somehow win the whole thing. But, yeah, I don't mean to take remarks at Texas A&M. Sorry to all the nice Texas A&M fans, but not the guy that says y'all suck, go Aggies.
We're going to hear about that all season.
They are, buddy. Every time A&M wins, boy, Michael's going to be in there with a smile on his face. So every time they lose. So.
Every time they lose, that's right. Yeah. Or I won't even have to worry about it, man. They can win all the way up till the last game, and then they'll blow it.
Yeah. That's true, but it's hard. I mean, but like I say, week 2, this game, Ohio State, Texas, it sets the tone for the season for these two teams. It did last year. The narrative was set when Ohio State beat Texas. The narrative was set that Ohio State's going to win it all. So the hype coming out of that very first game is going to set the whole season. But let's go to number 2 there. A game that was at the very beginning of the season last year. You guys remember, I think that was week 1 or 2, that Notre Dame and Miami played in Miami. Miami wins that game by the skin of their teeth. They really did good, but Notre Dame was coming back there at the end. Notre Dame just couldn't get it done.
That's what gave them the edge.
Yeah, and that's what cost Notre Dame a playoff spot last year. Was that game. So and it gave Miami the ability to get in the playoffs. So, we say these games early may not matter. We'll be able to make it up. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. But the good thing about this one is not at the beginning of the season. Miami has to go up there in November. I think November 17th is when they go to Notre Dame. In the middle of probably a snowstorm, it's going to be chilly, and you're coming from South Florida, got to go to Notre Dame. I mean, it's going to be a challenge this year.
Well, that's another team, man. And I don't mean to rib Texas A&M, but Notre Dame's another team. And Notre Dame is another team that I don't really care for. I really don't like Notre Dame. When you talk about a team that refuses to join a conference, we hinted on it earlier where they have some sort of garbage contract with the College Football Playoff Committee where they have an automatic bid. You don't even have to worry about playing a conference championship game or making it for that matter, because who says they'd even make it if they were in the ACC since they lost to Miami? But they don't have to worry about playing a conference championship game and get an automatic bid if they're a top 12 team. I don't like that. And if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, that's the only game that has any implications for them. They could lose that game. A nail biter like they did last year, they could lose that game and probably still be in the top 12 and make it to the playoffs with one loss.
Well, the other teams they play, I think they play SMU.
That's
and they
about
also play BYU. That's
Yeah.
the only other
wow.
two games that really they
That's
play. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
really competitively. You know what I mean?
Those probably are the only two I'd say out of those three, probably. But then just a week ago, we sat here and we went through Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia's schedule. My God, if Notre Dame had to play one of those schedules,
Yes, dude. Yeah.
if Notre Dame had to play one of those schedules, they would be in a lot worse spot than they are with this upcoming season.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I think Notre Dame has the talent this year to be better than they were last year. But at the same time, you got to go out there on the field. You got to prove it. And, a couple years ago, they lost to, was it Northern Illinois just out of nowhere? So, but, then they made the national title game.
Yeah.
So it really, it's hard to say, well, if they lose one, they won't make it. But, that game against Miami, that's going to be tough. But I just wonder how Miami's going to do now. I mean, how is Mario Cristobal going to look in November? I mean, how with the schedule they got to go through, new quarterback coming, I think, from Duke. So, and he's talented. He's very talented. And Carson Beck, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but he didn't just light the world on fire last year. So if you got a quarterback that comes in and can light the world on fire like he did at Duke, and they won the ACC last year. So if he comes in and can be that difference maker, I mean, how far can Miami go with that Malachi Tony, son? He's a beast.
Yeah.
That wide receiver, he was
as a true freshman, he was elite, absolutely elite, hard to stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they do, because I'd say Marcus Freeman, he got his guys a little extra rest. I don't know if you remember the pity party Notre Dame had for themselves when they sat out the bowl game they had. So they got a little extra rest from that. They said, no, we're not going to play in a meaningless bowl game. We're not in a conference or anything. So I feel like we'll just set this one out. We've got a contract with NBC. Let's just keep being.
How do you guys feel about that now?
What?
Sitting out bowl games. You think that's right? Yeah.
Well, for a whole program to do it, I think that's garbage. I understand players, some players that think, oh, man, this isn't going to get me to the national championship. I'll sit out because I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to risk injury before the NFL draft. But an entire program doing that, they think that they're a pristine program, I guess. So they just have the ability to do that. But I don't know. I don't like that at all. And I would have liked – they didn't play Texas A&M, did they?
Yeah.
Notre Dame? That was another loss.
It was. That was what got them. They started 0-2.
Yeah, so they would have went and rematched potentially if they got Miami spot. They would have went and rematched Texas A&M. So that might have maybe that have played in their favor, since it's hard to beat a team twice. But they lost to Miami, and that's what the committee was going by. They lost to that team in the season. They lost to Texas A&M. So, but there's a whole lot more we can break down before we get into the actual season about the playoffs and how they're just really, really not doing us justice, not doing the average college football fan. Adam and I, we went on vacation together back in December, and we were on our way home. We were excited about watching college football on the way home. Well,
with our family, make sure you tell everybody that we went on vacation.
Yeah, we went just he and I. Just he and I went. No, his family and my family, we went on vacation, and we were excited to watch some football on the way home. Well, because of what the College Football Playoff Committee did, they gave us garbage games on that first playoff session. You had a blowout with Oregon, and then another one with who was it?
Ole Miss. Tulane.
Ole Miss. Yeah, Ole Miss rematched Tulane, almost beat them the exact same way. And Oregon.
And then we were on the plane when the A&M game was going on. We didn't get to watch it.
Yeah. So that was really the only one that day that was competitive, because the day before was Alabama and Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, that's right. Yeah. That was a game, boys.
So that's a topic for a future podcast. But the playoff committee is definitely gonna have to do better with that.
Well, I hope they do, but like I say, man, these games that we're looking at here, man, they're so big. I mean, you think that with that team can drop a game, you can drop a game, but we see right there in that number 2 slot how big of a deal that game was last year. That you've got to be on your toes every week, and that's where it brings us right there to number 3. You say, oh, Georgia and Alabama, they're the 2 powerhouses every year that they could come back, they could play again, the SEC title, but If you drop that game there, there's really no room for error. That's the problem with the schedules that the SEC has now, going to non-conference games. There's no room for error. You have to go into every week, and you have to do your best to win these games. You can't be relaxed. You can't say, well, it'll be all right if we don't win. It's not, because those games that maybe you take off and you say, well, it's okay if we might not win this game. The next week you go out and lose to a team you shouldn't. You have no business losing to, and there goes your whole season.
Definitely,
so you have to bring it every week. So with Georgia going to Tuscaloosa, we talked a little bit about it last year, but man, what a matchup that's going to be. Year 3, Kalen DeBoer. You got Kirby Smart coming in there. Like we said last year, what happened when they won the SEC title, man? They got the belts out, was whipping the benches, all this other stuff that was going on. I mean, as a Bama fan, I'm excited about this game. Looking at it, I'm like, man, Georgia's always a tough test, but I want to play against the toughest teams. I want my team to go up against the big boys, because I want to see where our team stands. And going into this game, that's exactly what you're going to find out. Can you play with the big boys?
That's it.
Are we going to be able to play? I mean, are we going to get blown out like we did in the Rose Bowl? We're going to not show up like we did in the SEC title game? Are you going to finally say, okay, enough's enough? We're going to show them some Bama football, and we're going to protect our house. That's what I hope happens this game right here. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, and at this point, it's almost, is Kalen DeBoer letting the Alabama dynasty and the Alabama, like you say, let them see Alabama football. Is he letting that Alabama football mantra die after Nick Saban's gone, or is he going to continue that? And his first 2 seasons, it hasn't been much of that a lot. So we'll see how that game unfolds. And this is such a far out view of it, but hopefully they're able to go into Tuscaloosa and keep it going like they did.
I feel like this is a game that could come back to haunt you. You know what I'm saying? If you lose this one,
that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah,
that's a great way of looking at it. A game that come back to haunt you. That's true.
Yeah, John. And you don't. And looking at this list that Adam has made, you would think a Georgia fan made it, because we got 3 Georgia games out of top 10. So you would think a Georgia fan made it, but that's just how many.
All their losses will be. That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah. Well, you talk about big time matchups. Those are all big time matchups, which is pretty crazy. But since we don't want to hurt each other's feelings, we'll go on into number 4 if you want to, and we'll talk about
Let's move on.
Well, you got
a huge.
I was just say, you got Indiana, the defending national champs. You got Ohio State coming into your house this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the last game. I don't know about you guys, but last year Indiana, they went to Oregon. And then, I don't remember the last game that was really that you can ever think of that has been this big of a magnitude game happening at Indiana. I don't think there has been one in a number of years. I mean, they've had some big games, on this little bit of a rise, but nothing like Ohio State coming to town.
Yeah.
To play.
Yeah.
And typically, and that's what Curt Cignetti has done at Indiana. He's made that not be such a basketball school, that place is going to be full of Indiana fans. Maybe 5 years ago, it'd be full of Ohio State fans.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you think about it, Sean? That's going to be a big game out there, buddy?
Well, I'm kind of leaning towards what Michael said, man. Like Indiana, I believe Curt Cignetti is just with him being another Saban disciple. I feel like he's on the verge of turning that program around, but can he do it for the second year? You know what I'm saying? It's hard to go back to back, and Michael, Georgia's done it, Alabama's done it. It's hard to go back to back, especially in the new days like we have in college football today, with so much transfers and everything that's going on. Can you maintain that? Can you be consistent in doing that back to back with this new program that's going on today? Not like the old times, but with the new that's going on. Can he continue to do this? I mean, what do you think?
Well, the big thing I think about too is this whole saying when you're talking about Chunk is it's hard to do it. It's easy to be the hunter. It's hard to be the hunted. When people know that you're coming, and they see you come. Like when Indiana sneaks up on people for the past 2 years, it's just Indiana. We'll roll right over them. You don't see Alabama. Man, I went to the Rose Bowl more confident than ever. I mean, going out there, it's Indiana. They ain't played nobody like us. They ain't seen the physicality like us. Everything's lining up for Alabama. We go out there and get boat raced, son. I mean, 38-3. I mean, just stomped. But now that you've won a national title, you're not the hunter no more. So you're about to be the hunted. People are coming for your crown. So how can they come back, and how can they elevate themselves when you're the one I think it was Conor McGregor that talked about MMA fighters that talked about, it's easy on the grind when you're living in a 1-bedroom apartment and you ain't got money to pay rent. It's hard to get up though and go to the gym when you're waking up in silk sheets. When you've got it all made and you're doing all the good, it's hard to get that grind. So can Kirk Cinetti, this is where it's going to meet, rubber meets the road. Can Kirk Cinetti keep that same hunger that they've had these past 2 seasons to keep climbing? Because that's what Nick Saban was so great at. Even though they'd win the national titles, he would say that, I'll never, when people say you're climbing the mountain, you reach that peak, he said, I'm never going to reach the peak. I'm always going to keep climbing because there's always more to do. So is Kirk Cinetti going to be that way? Is he going to be that one that says we're just going to keep climbing? Or are they going to fall like every human does into that, what is that, of success, just the success of success. You know what I mean? When you have that success all the time and you're always winning, you get complacent. You get complacent in where you're at. You don't have that same drive no more. So it's going to be a big telltale sign this year. Can Indiana stay away from that? Can Indiana get away from that? That just being consistent and just complacent and be that one that stays with that same hunger of like, we won 1. I want to go win 2. I win 2. I want to go win 3. You know what I mean? Can you find that?
Yeah, especially with a target on your back, like you said, buddy. I mean, it's not easy.
No, it's not going to be. But with Ohio State coming in there, you see that, Ohio State has the number 1 game. Here they are, the number 4 game, a game we didn't even put on this list. That they've got to play Oregon too. I think Oregon goes to Ohio State. So like we talked about a Georgia fan making this list, Ohio State's got a real rough road ahead of them. So they really can't afford to lose this game. Because let's say they drop to Texas, which is a very real possibility. You drop to Indiana, you're playing Oregon still. I mean, at some point, it also comes down to seeding. You want that first bye week, which in the past Michael hates because it hadn't helped Georgia much. But in reality, you want that bye week. But so you're looking at seeding in these scenarios. So it's like this game could have a implication more or less. Not who wins or loses, but on the seeding. Do you get that Big Ten championship? Do you get home field advantage? Do you get the first round bye? All those things. It's not just can we win or lose this game. It's also all those implications as well.
I'd almost rather have the first round home game than the first round bye since it hasn't worked out in Georgia's favor the last 2 years. And it hasn't worked out for any team. I mean, really, the only team that's benefited is Indiana. Every other team is 1-7.
Yeah. So it's big, man. It's big. But again, here's another game we're looking at, number 5 down there. But this week I think Ole Miss got an early Christmas gift with their for sure they're going to have Trinidad Chambliss this year. I mean, it's a for sure deal. The NCAA has now put him in there, so he is going to play for the Ole Miss Rebels this year. And we've seen what he did to Georgia. We've seen how explosive he was when they played in Miami. I mean, he is a difference maker. And now this game at number 5, where Georgia's got to go to Oxford, Mississippi, and play Trinidad Chambliss and those Rebels. A rematch of the Sugar Bowl that was, a classic game, a classic. What's going to happen in this game, Michael? How are you feeling? Of course, you got revenge on your mind, but what's your thoughts, man, about this game right here of seeing the Dogs having to go at number 3 to Alabama, but here they are going to Ole Miss. How you feel about that game?
Well, the revenge factor aside, I just feel like they got to go in there and figure out a way to do what seems to be the impossible, and that's contain Trinidad Chambliss. That doesn't seem it's not an easy thing to do, and not a lot of teams can do it. That's why you get a guy like Trinidad Chambliss or or Cam Newton winning Heismans and stuff because, man, if those guys get out of the box and they're running around, they can just make plays with their legs. I'll never forget when Dalen Everett has a clean shot at Trinidad Chambliss. He's running at him full blast, and he just he misses him. He makes a move, and he gets around him, and he makes a play with his legs and really keeps them in that game. They lose that game if Dalen Everett gets up there and makes a play.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, he's a difference maker. And if I had to pick a Heisman Trophy candidate right now, that's probably it. I mean, just point blank honestly, Trinidad is that big of a player to me to say that he's that pivotal. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago talking about Georgia's schedule. I said if Georgia wins or loses at Ole Miss, it's going to be based upon if Trinidad plays. And in my opinion, that's a really tough game now for Georgia because, hey, think about when Kirby was at Alabama. You say what you want to, but what gave Kirby and Saban the most trouble at Alabama was those running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Now, Trinidad's not just a running quarterback like Milroe was. He's a running quarterback that can throw the ball. Yeah. He's very accurate. He makes plays out of nothing. I mean, just the scramble drills. He's talented. So that's the kind of player that Georgia and Kirby, they do seem to struggle with.
Yeah.
With that player that can just make plays out of nothing.
And not a lot of teams are able to stop guys like that. And that's kind of why I was pretty disappointed with the outcome of the Sugar Bowl because I really expected Kirby and Glenn Schumann to have the defense better prepared for that guy. Because if you watch the fourth quarter of the game in Athens, you watched the fourth quarter of that game and you thought, yeah, they figured him out finally. They shut him down in the fourth quarter. They didn't score at all when you look at Georgia, and they scored like 19 points in the fourth quarter to win the game. So I don't know. That's
what was the difference there, Michael? What was the difference in that game to you? It was in Athens, Georgia. This game's going to be in Oxford. The home field could be the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two teams that are very same, compatible with talent-wise. If the coaches, if Pete Golden's the coach we think he's going to be, if you're on the same table, buddy, the difference is going to be the right there in the middle where it says at Ole Miss. I mean, going to Oxford, that's going to be tough. And especially if they were able to beat LSU in the beginning, they're going to have their playoff hopes right there in front of them. So, that's a huge game. So what do you think about it, Chuck? What's your thoughts on Georgia going to Ole Miss?
Man, this right here could be an easy Georgia 10-2 to a 9-3 game. I mean, just because it's like you said, it's at Ole Miss, home field advantage. Mm-hmm. Trinidad Chambliss, we know what he can do, but also I don't want to just ride the hype of Ole Miss. I know Gunnar Stockton, man. He is hard headed. He's a go getter. I mean, he will play his heart out. So I believe this game right here, Georgia's been wanting this game. Ever since the Sugar Bowl loss, they're preparing. I believe Georgia is preparing for this game, and I believe, that Georgia could pull this out. Trinidad or not, they've got that hunger. We want blood, buddy. We want revenge. So, Trinidad's great and all, but Georgia, we know what they can do and we know what they can accomplish, man. And like you said, Adam, about Trinidad being a Heisman. Hey, I told Michael, I said, buddy, I believe Gunnar Stockton. I believe he, put his name in the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I tell you right now, if he goes to Alabama and to Ole Miss and can show up and can show that he's the difference maker in those two games, write it down. Son, write it down. I mean, it
would be
two huge games against two great teams. If he's able to go in there and be the difference maker, he could definitely be right there in the Heisman race.
Yeah. It would be hard not to mention his name if he goes in there and takes care of both those games. But like you say, I feel like even if Gunnar Stockton does all he can, Georgia's defense is going to have to be the factor in that game. They're going to be the difference maker in that game. Because look at the first game. Gunnar Stockton had the best game of his entire life. They scored every possession. They didn't punt the ball one time in that first game in Athens. But their defense finally stood up. And when their defense stood up and made some stops, they won that game. So to me, the defense is what's going to have to be the deciding factor of that game. If Gunnar Stockton plays the way he did that first game in the regular season, and their defense doesn't stop Trinidad, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's true, buddy. Well, I think on the next one, boss, I messed up. I put Michigan going to Oklahoma. That game is reversed. Oklahoma's going to Michigan, I do believe. And so with Kyle Whittingham being the new coach there at Michigan, and Oklahoma, with Brett Venables still being the head coach there, that's going to be a game very early. I believe that's played in week 2 as well as with the Ohio State-Texas game. But that's going to be a game where it makes you wonder, like, hey, what can we do to start this up? I mean, what are we going to be able to do? And going against, Kyle Whittingham coming in there with his new team with Michigan, that's going to be kind of weird to see. But Brent Venables being the defensive player that he is, and, somebody that I was really high on coming out of high school that started as a freshman at Michigan was Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood, he's the team's about a little bit of a difference maker. But last year, he just never really found his niche or his ability to just get going. So can Michigan find that this year? And if they find it, I believe it starts against Oklahoma. And with them coming to the Big House, that's going to be a big game. And again, it's SEC Big Ten. I mean, that's going to be massive. What do you guys think about that game with Brent Venables being in year whatever he's coming into, and he's going to have a big game on his hands?
Well, this game right here, Adam, I mean, it sets the tone of the season. This is it. Who wins? Yeah, for both teams, whoever wins, this is what's going to establish the beginning of their season here. And, with Oklahoma, Adam, they always play Alabama hard. I mean, they always play Tennessee hard. We lost to them last year. I mean, and with everything that's going on with Michigan, their new coach, is he going to have the team ready? I don't know, but I would have to go with Oklahoma on this game right here. Even Oklahoma going to Michigan.
Yeah, well, you got Mateer that's coming back and their offensive coordinator. And, Mateer, a lot of people had him as a dark horse Heisman going into last year. And at first he was playing really good. I mean, dude could spin that ball. But when he got hurt last year and just wasn't able to do, I don't think, as good as he was. And the run game, they struggled just as bad, or if not worse, as Alabama on running the football. And that's just not something you see out of an Oklahoma team. So if they can figure out the run game and figure that out and get their offense back where it needs to be, Brent Venables, his defense is always going to be elite. I mean, they just are. They get after you. They're a bunch of junkyard dogs. They're going to get after the quarterback, and they just have to have, if they can pair that, think about it. It'd be the best of both worlds if you could do this. If you could pair a Brent Venables defense with a somewhat similar to a Lincoln Riley offense, to how explosive they used to be, my Lord, what a match made in heaven that would be. And if they can finally find that this year, Oklahoma really could be a hard team to beat. And playing Michigan right there in week 2, it's going to be a test of, a test of wheels for one, but also a test of, hey, is Oklahoma going to be able to get over that hump of like these big games? It seems like they do win the big ones sometimes, but not on a consistent basis. Like when you lose a 17-point lead to Alabama at home, I mean, that just puts a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah. So that they're going with that to the rest of this offseason. Yeah. And they're going to come into this game. We're going to the Big House with that same attitude of like, hey, we're coming here to show that we are Oklahoma again. And that we have a standard in our program that we want to be able to control the ball. We want to be able to control the line of scrimmage. And if they can run the ball like they used to and it can have an explosive offense like they used to, pair it with Brent Venables' defense, they could be very dangerous this year. Very dangerous. So what's your thoughts, Michael? Because Oklahoma, right here in these next 2 games, man, what do you think about the Sooners going into this season?
I do think Oklahoma gets the win at Michigan. I just don't know if Kyle Whittingham's going to have enough really going his way year 1 for him. So we'll see how that goes. But calling Oklahoma's defense the junkyard dogs, I mean, it's often imitated but never duplicated. So
you know what I'm saying. It's a bunch of dogs, son.
Yeah. But in that 7 spot there, you'll have the real junkyard dogs going against the fake ones. But I think they'll get that win at Michigan, which I think hypes up that next game even more when you've got Oklahoma coming into Georgia. because something that I had found earlier that Oklahoma has only played Georgia one other time in the history of that program. The history of both programs, both a really rich history of a lot of great college football in the past. They've only played each other one time before, and we all know how that went. That was 2018 New Year's Day, the Rose Bowl, that Georgia went in there and went to overtime and really had to come back again. Like you say, Adam, that's another team. That's another team that wants something so bad they can't stand it. That entire fan base wants something so bad they can't stand it. They're 0-5 in the playoffs. Since there's been a playoff, Oklahoma's made it 5 times. They've lost 5 times. One of those 5 times were to Alabama. They blew a 17-point lead. The other one of those 5 times was to Georgia. They blew a 17-point lead in the Rose Bowl. So that's a team, man, that's just going to be hungry when they go into Michigan, and they're going to be just as hungry when they come into Athens. So that's going to be a big-time game, and that's why we're breaking them down tonight, man, because that's just a game that everybody's excited about. But I don't see – I can see them going in to the Big House and beating Michigan, but I don't see them going into Athens and beating Georgia.
Well, let me give you this stat right here, son.
Right.
So to open up the season for the Sooners, listen to this gauntlet. You've got UTEP. You've got at Michigan. You play at New Mexico. You got New Mexico at home. So you got at Michigan, New Mexico, at Georgia. Their next game, the Texas Longhorns. That's their first 5. In the first 5 games, they play Michigan, at Georgia, and neutral side against Texas. In their first 5 games.
Where's the bye week in there? Is there any bye week before Texas?
Before Texas, yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's rough.
It is rough.
We're going to find out who the Sooners are real quick.
Yeah, within the first 5 weeks. Within the first half of the season, we'll find out who the Sooners are, really.
Goodness gracious. I mean, yeah, they got those first 5, and then they play Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Florida. This is their next 3.
Goodness.
It'd be at Florida, Mississippi at home, so Ole Miss at home, and A&M at home. And they end the season at Missouri. So Oklahoma's got a tough road. So it's going to be tough for them. But, those 2 teams out there being number 6 and number 7, that's why. It's because you don't have room for error. You don't have room to lose those games. So if you can't go at least 1-1, if not a 2-0, I mean, the rest of your schedule, buddy, you can't lose a game. You know, I mean, you really don't have room for error, especially if you go 0-2. Oh Lord, if you go 0-2, man, Brent may be hitting the door at that point, but you hope not. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna be big. That's gonna be big, man. If they can win at Georgia, because that's a big. I mean, that's big brands right there. That's what you look at this whole list. All you see is big brands. That's big boy football. That you got Oklahoma going into Athens. That's going to be an electric atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just to see that, it's going to be amazing, really.
Yeah. Well, like I say, being the second time these 2 programs have ever even seen each other on the field, that's going to be big in itself. So it being in Athens, man, I already know the environment there is going to be insane.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you about an even more insane game right here, son. Number 8.
Oh, yeah.
LSU going to Ole Miss. You're talking about an insane environment.
Here we go.
That one right there.
There's a lot of people that would have that game number 1 just because of the way the hype around Lane Kiffin being at LSU.
Yeah, going back to where you burnt every bridge in town.
Yeah.
I had to leave on the tar bag, son. I mean,
they may forget. They may forget. I mean, they may just forget about the mustard bottles and golf balls and just bring hand grenades in there. I mean,
no.
They're so tired of that guy.
They are. I mean, but man, where has Lane Kiffin ever left that he don't leave? Has he ever left something better than he found it? I mean, I guess I know that Ole Miss is better off before he got there than, I mean, in the way they are, but I'm talking about in the way he leaves.
Yeah.
Every time he leaves somewhere, buddy, it is just he burns it to the ground. Knoxville, literally, they were setting the campus on fire. when he left Knoxville to go USL or USC. Goodness gracious, that guy. So, but that's going to be a crazy game with Trinidad, his whole quarterback. You got Sam Levitt. We think is going to be the starter. I mean, you pretty much guess he is the starter at LSU. With them coming to Ole Miss, that's going to be huge. But again, when you look at this list and you say LSU's got to go to Ole Miss, they've got to go to there. That's going to be tough for them. I mean, I don't care who you are, but when you got to go on the road in the SEC, it's different. Kirby Smart illustrates that better than anybody. He says when you can go on the road in the SEC and get a win, it don't matter if it's at Kentucky, if it's at Vanderbilt, if it's at Mississippi State, it's hard to win in the SEC. It is hard. Every team is very, very good, and they're coming for you. And so if LSU can go in there and get a win, it will say a lot in a very short amount of time about LSU. But I'm telling you right now, whoever wins that game out there, because you're coming out with a winner, whoever wins that game, their hype is going to be so high, and the loser is going to be so low.
Yeah, that just depends on if Sam Levitt can stay healthy, buddy.
Yep.
They can stay healthy, and I mean, man, I just don't know, buddy. I don't know if they can come out of Oxford with a win. I mean, it's going to be hard.
Well, if you want to talk about Georgia struggling at Ole Miss, another key factor is Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, how in the world is Ole Miss going to be able to stop a guy like that? Although Lane Kiffin may know something since he coached the guy, he got the guy out of wherever, the transfer portal. I don't know where he came from, but he pulled him out of some smaller college to come to Ole Miss. But he knows a lot more about Trinidad maybe than Kirby Smart does, but it's just in the way you play that guy. And maybe he knows a way to play him, but I really don't see Ole Miss losing that game with all the hype around it and all the just hatred for Lane Kiffin, since that guy seems to not shy away from that. I think they'll end up beating him.
Well, something you got to look at, too. Nothing tells you more about your future sometimes than your past. And just this past season, LSU went to Oxford, and they lost that game. If you guys remember, Brian Kelly went in there. That was a big-time game. And Lane Kiffin at the time, ahead of the coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, they beat LSU at Ole Miss. So, but now with the way that the conference is lining up, like you're going to have A&M that just went to LSU last year. They're going to play at LSU again. And you got LSU that's going to play at Ole Miss again. So there's going to be a lot of these games where they're having the same place again, second year in a row. And this is one of those games. And, LSU went in there last year and got beat. So, and I know they're different coaches. I mean, I understand that. I get that 110%. And I don't think nobody's going to know how to beat a team more than the coach that just left there. But to me, still, Trinidad is going to be the X factor where it's like, I know Lane may be able to say, I know how to defend him, but, man, he's still hard to defend even when you can figure him out. Yeah, you got one of the best defensive lines in the country. He put him in the press. What are we doing? So it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. So, but I tell you another one.
Lane Kiffin probably wanted to beat LSU so badly just because he had the crystal ball out, and he said, "That's my next coaching gig right there. So let's go ahead and get Brian Kelly out of there." That's probably what his thoughts were.
Yeah, I just thought there's no way to go to LSU. I thought he picked Florida over LSU. I really did, but I just thought he would because of the recruiting and the way that Florida. I mean, he wears a visor. I've heard this. He wears a visor because of Steve Spurrier. So he really idolizes Steve Spurrier. So I was like, man, Florida fits in perfectly. But I guess he just wanted to go LSU. I guess maybe for the talent and you can win a championship at LSU. And I'm not saying you can't win it at Florida, but I mean it has the pieces right now to do it. Yeah. Right now. Yeah. So I mean, we're saying it's going to be hard to do it for anybody to do it in year one. But if anybody could do it in year one, it's LSU and Lane Kiffin that could do it.
And I guarantee you guys, that LSU Ole Miss game, you're going to see a bunch of going on 4th and 1s, fake punts, fake field goals. He's going to be like I said, Les Miles, man. He's the modern day Les Miles, Mad Hatter, and just like I said, watch out for Lane, man. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He knows Ole Miss.
He does. But I mean, talking about Lane Kiffin and LSU, I mean they, start off the LSU run under Lane Kiffin. You start out the whole era of Lane Kiffin being at LSU is that game at number 9 when Clemson comes to Death Valley, not their Death Valley, to LSU's Death Valley, and it's going to have to play the LSU Tigers. This was a game.
They'll be playing for that.
Well, hey, if let's say LSU goes 2-0 in that series right there, who's it going to be? I'd have to
two
give
different
LSU
head
that
coaches.
Even better point, buddy. Even better point. Well, and this is a game. I mean, I loved it so much last year looking at it because that's a rematch of a national title game just from a few years back. Now they're playing the national title game in New Orleans in 2019 when LSU went on a run and they won the whole national title. This is the team that they beat with Dabo Swinney. And I don't know if if Lane Kiffin has ever played Dabo Swinney that I can think of, except when he was at Alabama, of course. But even then, it's going to be weird to see and different to see LSU go into that 4th and 1 offense and all these things. And I think a lot about that game when when Lane Kiffin came to Alabama. If you guys remember back, I think it was in 2021. Do you remember he had that pregame interview and said, "Get your popcorn ready," and then he ran off the field and they lost like 42 to nothing or 42 to 7.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn ready. All right. So
And that's what everybody looked at Lane Kiffin as. They all looked at him as just a clown that makes comments like that and then don't put it together.
Right.
But maybe he'll turn it around.
Well, he plays these two teams. I want to say he plays if I'm not wrong, guys, you guys correct me if I am, but I mean these two games are in the first 3 weeks of the season for LSU. I think they play Clemson week number 1, and then they go to Ole Miss in week number 3. So that's 2 huge matchups they're going to have right there at the season that, like I say, this is big playoff impact games.
Well,
you really can't afford to lose them because you've still got Alabama coming to town later in the year. I think they play Texas later in the year. So these are 2 games you really can't afford to lose.
And that's really, and on a side note, that's a testament to Clemson, though, holding on to Dabo Swinney because, man, they believe in the guy. They believe in the guy down there because Dabo Swinney at Clemson since 2019, I don't know how many times he's played LSU, but let's say they've played 3 times since 2019, all 3 different head coaches.
Yeah, this will be the 3rd time right here.
Yeah, Ed Ogeron in 19, they lost. Brian Kelly just last year, and they lost. And now 2026, a whole nother coach, Lane Kiffin. Will they win or lose? Can they beat LSU? That might be their kryptonite somehow, whether it be a new head coach or not.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, I think me looking at it personally, I'm big on home field advantage. I really am. That's something, especially nowadays with the portal. Back in the day, you had teams like Ohio State, teams like Bama, teams like Georgia, where your 3rd string is sometimes better than the other team's 1st string. But now with these teams being so talent like equivalent with talent, being right there on par with each other, I mean it's tough to say there's any other advantage besides home field. So this game not being neutral site, they're coming to LSU at Death Valley, and especially if this thing is at night. I mean, to start off the season at night in Death Valley, I mean that's gonna be a massive task for Dabo to go through. And like I said, bless his heart, but he's not even in the top 22 of the odds to win the national title that we talked about. They're behind Auburn, they're behind Penn State, Missouri, Tennessee. I mean, they're behind all those teams. And to see where Clemson was when in 2019 they're playing for the national title to where they are now is drastically different. But it can all change right here with this game. I mean, if Clemson and Dabo is able to come into LSU probably at night and get that win on week 1, I mean, the whole narrative around Dabo Swinney changes like that. Yeah. Overnight. It changes overnight.
Oh, that's what we think. That's what we think. Just like the Brian Kelly situation, he goes into Clemson and beats them to start their season 1-0, and he gets fired later on that year.
Well, true.
So you never know how the whole season's going to unfold.
You don't, but like I said, that's going to be a big testament to at least starting off the right way.
Yeah.
At least saying, hey, we're here to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And come in and beat a year 1 coach maybe.
Yeah. So it's going to be different. But I tell you another game that And I included this game to, of course, put in the Tri-State team. But this also is a team that – or a game, I'm sorry, that really is kind of off the radar. But I think it has big implications for these two teams. You've got Brent Key at Georgia Tech. You've got Josh Heupel at Tennessee. And you've got those two coaches at these two teams. And, Tennessee was in the playoff in 24. Georgia Tech was right there knocking on the door last year. Just couldn't seal it right there at the end. They lost to Pitt, and they was out of the ACC title game, but they could have been right there in the playoff picture. They've lost a good bit of talent, but if you guys remember, I think I brought this up last week, that Georgia Tech now has Fernando Mendoza's brother. I'll get his name right sometime, but Fernando Mendoza's brother has gone to Georgia Tech now to be quarterback. They got Justice Haynes, which played at Alabama, went to Michigan last year. He got hurt, but he's a very talented back. He transferred into Georgia Tech. And you've got Tennessee with their quarterback battle going on. But this is a game when why I included it, not only because of the Tri-State team, but is because I think neither team can really afford to lose this game. This game right here is going to be really pivotal in both these teams, Georgia Tech and Tennessee, and saying, hey, when we look back at the end of the season, hey, we went to Georgia Tech and we beat Georgia Tech, or Georgia Tech saying, hey, when Tennessee came into our house, we beat them. That's the SEC power, so that's going to be a big pivotal game for both these teams in a dark horse playoff race of if they can win these games, maybe one or two more big games they have on their schedules, they could be right there in the hunt. But it all starts in week 2 when Tennessee visits Georgia Tech. What are your guys' thoughts on that? We'll start up with Chunk. What's your thoughts on that, Chunk?
And, and this is a big game for us, Adam. This is what sets the tone of our season right here. This is where rubber meets the road right here at this game. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2017 when we played Georgia Tech, we went to double overtime. Now, this was the Georgia Tech that always gave Georgia a run for their money. They always played it. It did not matter at the end of the Georgia season. They would always give Georgia a run for their money, and it was just a tough game. And we barely won that game. Double overtime. We stopped them with a goal line stand back in 2017, Mercedes-Benz Chick-fil-A Bowl. Man, so this right here with our new fresh quarterback, whoever that may be, we don't know just yet. But, man, we've got to get – this is a critical game, and we've got to get this we've got to get this win against Georgia Tech, buddy. I mean, this is huge for us.
It is. It's going to be big. I mean, it's going to be big for them too, though. Can they win that big game? I mean, Brent Key has always said that same thing of like, you can't seem to get over that hump. Well, I mean, here's your opportunity. So, and then with Josh Heupel, if he loses that game going to Georgia Tech, it can really say a lot about his season. But, you say, well, we have enough that we can make it up. Well, probably not. I mean, if this game goes in the loss column and you still have Texas coming in, you have you got to play LSU, you got to play A&M, you still got to play Bama. I mean, those are 4 other big games. Vanderbilt, big games that Tennessee still have to play. And so you really can't afford to lose to an out-of-conference opponent. So, and it really says a lot not only about the team, but also the conference, with the conference of saying, hey, we beat an ACC team, or, hey, we beat an SEC team. That it really goes a long way. So what's your thoughts on it, Michael? What do you think about Georgia Tech and Tennessee, buddy?
I'd say it's more crucial for Tennessee to get that win in Georgia Tech than it is for Georgia Tech. I think their whole schedule after that doesn't look as bad as Tennessee's does, really. I mean, it's just juggernaut after juggernaut on Tennessee's schedule, and Georgia Tech, not saying that they don't have a tough road. The ACC isn't just a crap conference. They do have good teams in that conference, but I just think it's a must-win situation for Tennessee to go down there and prove a point and beat Georgia's little brother.
Yeah, beat Georgia's little brother, huh? Well, I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, they're going to have Georgia and Tennessee on their schedule this year. They're going to think they're part of the SEC.
Yeah, they play 2 SEC teams. That's big that they play 2 SEC teams. And Tennessee got, they don't have to play Georgia this year or Florida, which is weird for us to see.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be big, man. I mean, I'm just looking forward to all those games, though. I mean, those games are all massive. They all have big playoff implications, but there's so many more games we didn't even talk about. We could look at, like I said, LSU or Alabama's got to go to LSU. You've got who else? You say
Texas
Texas
going
comes in, and it's New Tennessee. You know, there's so many more games that you could put on that list. I mean, we didn't talk about the game, Ohio State, Michigan. How big of a game that could be at the end of the year. I told you guys, Oregon and Ohio State. I mean, there's so many more games you could talk about, but these are just games, in our opinion, that I mean, they're big games. I know most of them probably the SEC, a little bit of homerism, but that's okay. You know what I'm saying? But it's all right. But it's true. It's because the SEC, no matter if they say we only won the national championship, so it don't matter. The SEC is still, to me, the toughest conference because it's not just heavy loaded like it is for the Big Ten. You know, you've got Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana, and then you kind of got a little bit of a tier. With the SEC, you've got like 10 teams that is pretty much on the same level that could beat anybody at any time. I mean, you almost say the whole company 12. I mean, you could really say almost any of them that if you don't show up that week, you're going to lose. And the biggest thing is probably home field advantage. So, you know, these are a lot of SEC games, but it's because of the way the SEC plays, going to non-conference schedules, or it's non-conference game schedule, and playing these teams like we got to play week after week, and just having to bring your best every week. And it's hard to do that against grown men that, you know, when you look at what's coming up at the NFL draft, that SEC seems to always lead that pack of players getting drafted. Why? Because they're all so good, from Georgia, Tennessee, Bama, Missouri, Florida, all of them. I mean, all these SEC teams are loaded with players. And so we always seem to lead that pack. And when you play those teams week after week, it's hard. It's very hard. So that's what we're thinking, that these games are just – they're big games, yes, and they're going to have huge playoff implications. But there's so many more, like I said, we didn't even talk about. So, but what's your guys' kind of final thoughts on the night, man? I mean, we talked about playoff odds. We've talked about now biggest games of the year. What's final thoughts you guys might have about what we talked about here tonight?
Well, I think a cool thing is talking about Tennessee and Texas. That's a big-time game that those teams haven't – I don't know when they've ever played, if they have, because you talk about Georgia and Oklahoma, two juggernaut programs that have only played once ever in their entire history. So it'd be interesting to see if Tennessee and Texas have ever played before, but they're playing for the real UT title, who gets to call themselves the UT, and then LSU and Clemson are playing for who gets to say they're the real Death Valley. They both got to play for those odds. That's pretty fun to think about.
Yes, sir. It says their last matchup was 1969.
So that's the only time.
36-13. They played 3 times total. They played 1951. I'm trying to find it here. They played So they played in 1950. They played 1952, and they played in 1961. And Texas is 2-1 in those games. So not in this century.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So,
Tennessee's looking to make them 2-2 this year.
Hey, there's some looking for revenge. There's some people out there that say, "Hey, they beat us in '60. We coming back for it this year."
Yeah, a guy's going to his seats with his cane. Oh, we got to get him this time.
Yeah. Before I die, we've got to win.
Yeah, all the way up the nosebleeds, son. They put them all the way up in the tip top too.
Yeah.
Neyland's like straight up. I mean, just like a mountain. I've never seen a stadium like that. It's more straight up than Neyland Stadium, but it's an environment, buddy.
Well, I think the big house is like that too.
The what?
The big house in Michigan.
Well, it seems more like just a big bowl to me. It just goes out.
Yeah.
You know, more than it goes up. It's just one huge bowl, like the Rose Bowl was. You just go in and you just go out. So fit 100,000 people in there. That's
well, wild. that's how Neyland does it, man. They want to get so many people, just like the next level's right above you, which I haven't seen it in person. I plan to April 11th, but I'm excited to see that.
Well, that's the only way you're going to see the orange and white game. You got all these Georgia, Tennessee, Bama. They ain't broadcasting it, so you got to go to the game to see your team, and that's kind of ridiculous. Especially without not having that transfer window. I mean, that don't make no sense.
Well, that's kind of what I'm on the fence about. If I'm going to go the following weekend to G-Day, I don't know if I'm going to make it down there yet, but I know we're going to go to the orange and white game, but I don't know if I'll probably make that, although we're going somewhere the day before. I might make that drive just going down
there.
That's
what I'm thinking, man. You're going up to Nashville, not before. You're going to go back home and then ride to Athens in the morning.
Yeah, That doesn't sound
And
very
show up to
fun.
church the next day. I mean, man,
Yeah,
you're
all
on a busy
that.
schedule.
That would be. I'll be asleep. I'll be asleep in the. You see me asleep back there, but I think it would be fun to see. But yeah, we got too much going on probably for me to make it down to G Day. I just wish
it'll be
they would
fun.
have. I wish they would just televise it. I don't know what contracts are for that. I don't know if maybe they get. I mean, sure they get paid for it. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. Throw it in the NIL budget, but
Yeah,
Makes no sense, man.
No.
It don't. But I tell you, it does make
now
make
it
it.
definitely doesn't now that there's no transfer portal window after.
Yeah. Well, I should have said at the beginning too, and I don't know if it might be here to watch the end of this video, but I do want to say that I want to congratulate you guys. I mean, I was telling Chunk Friday night we looked at all the views on all the TikToks, all the YouTube videos, Instagram, Facebook, and we've had nearly 40,000 views across all of our platforms. Almost 200 subscribers across all of them, and I mean, I just can't thank the viewers and you guys for stepping out and doing this. I mean, it's a task. I mean, we do, and we try to make videos and content a lot, but I mean, I enjoy it. I love it, and I'm glad we're getting to talk about one of our favorite things. I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. I mean, you guys have been great and awesome, and like I said, I just want to thank everybody out there that watches us for putting our content out there and sharing, and like Chunk showed me today, Alex Golis watched one, and Josh Pate clicked on one. I mean, that's people we idolize, and that's cool. They're seeing our content, so
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's really a cool thing. So I like I said, I just looking forward to it. I know that we're only going to get better, and I just think we get on here. Like I said, we don't have a teleprompter in front of us. We just go with what we think. Just go with our opinion, and we hope to give everybody here a little bit of knowledge about the game and a little bit about what we think, and just tell you a little bit of information that maybe we have and about the teams that we love and the game that we love. So we're just looking forward to it.
It's like you said, week 1, episode 1. We're just 3 guys that have been lifelong fans of these programs, and we're just here to talk and have a good time and hope that people want to interact and jump in conversation with us. We're just here to talk about how we feel and how we feel about our teams and how they're going to play. And it's not just about our teams. We go all around the country.
You see, we didn't really bring up, nothing with our teams much, just some games.
Well, yeah, we talked a lot about teams like Ohio State. Yeah, like we're talking about Ohio State and Indiana, teams like that, man. We talked about Dan Lanning at Oregon. We're not just – I think we're going to probably be homers closer to the season for sure and during the season. But for now, man, we're just trying to get out the best content we can and talk about stuff we talk about on a daily. We would talk about this on any other day, so might as well record it.
That's right. We get some good conversations in those trucks. So
so
it's good, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to grow. I mean, I want to see this platform. I want to see it grow, and it don't happen without you guys subscribing and with you guys watching and getting our content out there. It don't happen without it. So we just can't say from the bottom of our heart how much we appreciate and thank you guys for watching and being with us. And we're looking forward to next week. Don't really know what we're going to talk about yet, but that's what it's all about. We don't script it. We don't write it down on a big teleprompter. We just come in here with some facts, with some fun, and hopefully some entertainment to you guys, and just show you kind of what we're thinking this week on, for our teams and just our opinion across college football. So just staying here with us. We're looking forward, like Michael was saying, going live more towards the beginning of the season, and I can't wait to do some live reactions. And something we're going to try to do and put out there very soon is we're going to make a bet with Chunk that if he can get 1,000 subscribers on Facebook and 500 on YouTube, that he'll shave his head, eyebrows, and beard. So that's what we're hoping to do. So we're going to put that out there on the platform. See how fast we grow with that. Show them, Michael, you did it for 100 followers.
It'll be all Georgia. It'll be all Georgia and Alabama fans subscribing to get the Tennessee fan to go.
Yeah. Michael did it for 100 subscribers.
Yeah, man, I did it. I did it just when we got to 30, man. I said, we got 30 subscribers. All right.
Yeah. So Chunk said for 1,000, he's taking everything off.
That's it.
So, but it'd be good, man. But I just can't tell you much. I appreciate y'all. Looking forward to you. Got any final thoughts, Chunk, before we head out of here, good buddy?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's awesome. Just please comment. Just ask questions. We're just here to talk football, have a good time. It's just awesome to do this podcast with you guys and just to hear, the fans, what you guys have to say, and, comment, and just looking forward to seeing this podcast grow and just getting out there. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
yeah, that's it.
All right, man. Well, you know how we ended around here. We're going to do some tailgate on me, tailgate on 3. Y'all guys ready? Now, Chunk, make sure your internet's good so you don't freeze up like you did last week. But if you guys are ready, we'll do it on me, all right? 1, 2, 3. Tailgate.